Hey everybody, Robot here from Vespa Motorsport and ScooterWest.com. I'm just going to share a customer scooter, be a pretty quick video. Definitely a little different than the normal vintage scooter that I work on. So what we have here is a Spanish Vespa originally that's had a restoration done to it, kind of to give it like I don't know, like a steampunk, like old school, like look, like it was pulled out of the barn and you got it running. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. It's definitely pretty interesting. It's a combination of some real rust and some painted on rust as well. So kind of going for a different look. Definitely pretty unique. But it's kind of got a combination of some modern stuff off the Vespa PX, which was made up until about 2016. And so it's got like a fuel gauge and the bigger gauges. Somebody put the PX front in. In my opinion, it looks a little out of place because it looks big and bulky with that 10-inch tire, but has an 8-inch fender. That's kind of looks a little different. You can see where the original holes were for the original style fork. That fork's definitely going to work a little better. It's got the PX motor with a modern electronic ignition setup. They even put the PX brake pedal on it and like eliminated the original stuff on there. So as for originality, it's far from that, but the nice thing about Vespa is they're pretty parts bin oriented, so you could put a motor from a 2011 PX all the way back into a scooter that's from 1959. No issues. They even have the oil injection on this, something they would have never had for a scooter that has the classic style column lock and so on. So pretty neat. This belongs to the drummer for the band The Killers, Ronnie, and essentially we're just going to completely go through it because there's some kind of substandard repairs on it. With the wiring, we're going to do some like more neo-modern updates. Like it's going to have this retro, cool looking modern LED headlight in place of that. The digital dash for the speedometer. And a big thing we're going to do is, since the motor's already set up for electric start, we're just going to do the rest of the wiring, put a battery in there, and add an electric start, kind of like what I did with that project about 6 months ago on that black P200E. So some of the details on it is it has this like UFO garage and these stencils on it, making unique motorcycles special for special riders. From what I understand, this may have been put together in Spain and then was brought over to the United States via Bella Moto, which imports a lot of vintage and older Vespas. That's kind of all I know about how it ever got over here. And to put the original leg shield trim on it, this is like an, not original, but it's like an aftermarket reproduction. But it's definitely got some real rust on it. I think that was actually new at one time, and they just probably put some sulfuric acid on it, kind of give it that patina, restoration kind of look to it. So in the left side cowl, it's got some of the modern electronics. You can definitely see some substandard wiring. Definitely clean that all up. It's kind of our goal for fixing it up. Not sure what's going on there. How are you doing? But that's pretty much what we're gonna do. This kind of goes pretty good with the look. A little leather band and a little canvas bag on it. Show you the motor over here on the right side cowl. Got more of those stencils on it. It's definitely an easy way to make something unique for yourself. The cowl's pretty straight. It's got some dings like here and here, and it's been repaired right around here. Like if you were doing a full restoration, which will be the next classic bike that I'll show you, this cowl would be completely unacceptable. But when you're doing something like this, oh, it looks pretty good. There's actually no rust on that. That was like painted on this side. Some of the rust is made, or it may be real rust that's in the body of the floorboards, which is a common area where if these 50, 60-year-old Vespas sit, they might build up some rust. What you see here for the motor, this is definitely the last of the PX 150 engines. I know because I own one of the last PX 150s. It's got these extra mounts where it would have had an air injection system on the exhaust, but somebody's replaced the exhaust. That's a vape ignition setup. Again, how you doing? That's a ground. Just a wire put on a screw, not really appropriate. So it definitely needs clean up here and there. And we'll kind of reposition all this stuff and do the coil. I can even see the wires are cut a little bit here because when the suspension travel comes up, the wires were jamming right in their frame right there. So there's just a lot of little details that we need to go through to get this thing where it's going to be pretty solid and reliable. And that's the goal for the customer, is to make this solid and reliable and easy to start. So the speedometer is pretty interesting. It's actually, I don't know if I could pull out, this headset doesn't ever exist. This speedometer was only found on the PX or something like the Vespa GTV, Stagioni. I don't know much about this, but I think Scott, when he started looking at it, he said there was some fiberglass work in here, but there is a possibility. I don't know enough about the Spanish scooters. There may have been a classic handlebar setup that was designed to use a speedometer size that originally came out in somewhere in like 1984, 1985 is this round style speedometer. They've changed the face several times over all the years. But the neat thing, you do get a fuel gauge out of it. And in some ways it does kind of look pretty classic. Some of these parts are truly the classic parts. These aluminum lever, and same with the switch gear right here, and the pointy levers that are pretty quintessential to a classic Vespa. Back to the fork. It's got a pretty unique setup. Like I said, it's a PX, but somebody added a disc brake setup of some brand I'm not familiar with. Not sure where these parts come from. Gramica did make a setup like this that was designed to be retrofit onto the older P200E fork. This one's definitely pretty unique. So looking at the front badge, you can even see Moto Vespa, which is the Spanish Vespa, where the badge that they would have used back in the, I don't know what the years for the Spanish Vespas are. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. 60s.
70s.
Yeah. All right, so I'll have some more follow-up videos, probably maybe one or two, when we get this thing all sorted out. Unfortunately, I'm not going to do it on camera. I'm going to have one of my technicians do all the work on this one. Just thought it'd be something a little different to share with everybody. I'll see you on the next one. Robot here from Vespa Motorsport and ScooterWest.com. If you're here in the States looking for parts to do something like this, ScooterWest.com. We got your parts covered.